Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rocket League Island Superstars Season 6. 5 seasons have come before this. It's been on a long hiatus, but now it is back. The Rocket League Island Draft League. 6 teams will be facing off across 5 different tiers. Rising Star, Ascending Star, Shooting Star, All-Star and Superstar, where the highest level players will face off. We're incorporating 1v1, 2v2 and 3v3. Yet again, the same format as we had back in Season 4. And this time, a 240 euro prize pool, which is bigger than we've had before. It is going to be a massive season. League play, 5 weeks starting August the 9th, 1 match per week. Each week, teams will play a 1v1 best of 3 worth 2 points, a 2v2 best of 3 worth 2.5 points, and a 3v3 best of 5 worth 3 points. That is where the results are really going to matter. The top 4 teams in league play will advance to the playoffs. And before we get into the draft, I just want to introduce who else is on the panel today. I am joined by RLCS, esports admin thing, John AK always. How are you?
I'm doing great, Rez. Like, honestly, that was a great introduction, but like, it was kind of unnecessary because, as we all know, like everyone's clearly read the rules, so they do all that already, Rez. Like, give over. We just want to get into the draft.
Absolutely, the draft is what we're all here for. The managers have been thinking hard over the last couple of days to try and assemble their lineups to take on the 5 tiers. Those teams obviously being Lovely Cans, manager of the Banshees, Ryan, manager of the Saints, Enrong for the Gales, Squid G representing the Celtic Tigers, Barzi, a new manager coming in for the Wolfhounds, and D Lynch taking over Aiden at the throne of the High Kings. This is going to be another really exciting season, a record 90 sign-ups, so many high-level players. And this is what we have all been waiting for. This is the draft. We're going to be starting off with Rising Star and working our way up. And John, should I get right into this?
Yeah, our managers are ready. We've gotten quotes from managers that aren't here. Everyone in Twitch chat's ready. It's been a long time coming, but it's finally here. Let's get into it.
As I said, starting off with Rising Star, the first round of picks is going to be Zyno, picked up by Barzi for the Wolfhounds. Viable is going to be joining the Saints. Krolic, picked up by D Lynch for the High Kings. Kansas' first pick was Arnu for the Banshees. Leon is picked up by the Gales by manager Enrong. And Yummy Uranium has made his way into Rising Star. I know he's a little bit worried about actually making it into any of the tiers, but he did get it in the first round of Rising Star to join the Celtic Tigers. John, what are your thoughts on that first round?
Yeah, interesting first round. I wanna already interrogate the managers. So, Barzi, what?
Hello.
Hello, Barzi. Yeah, good to have you here. I'm sorry to throw you into the hot seat, but it is what it is. Zyno, first overall pick in Rising Star. What drew you towards him?
Just like I've played a few 6-mans with him, and he's very chill, very relaxed. Once like if he misses the ball, and he'll just be like, "Oh, it's fine, we'll get over it." And he's very motivational. So getting him in the top seed now for Rising Star, hopefully he'll motivate the rest of my team to if the things start to go bad.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I think more of the stories of Rising Star will form as the full roster is complete. So let's just continue with it.
Absolutely. So moving on to the second round now, it was Squidgy. He got 2 picks in a row. So first picked up Yummy Uranium, then picked up CK as his second man. Cloudy was drafted in by Enrong for the Gales. Joe was brought in by Ryan. Bass, the non-Irish superstar, he's performed well in previous seasons. He's joining the Banshees. I think that's his second season there. Creeps and Peeps is joining Zyno on the Wolfhounds. And Pog's former manager in his own right is going to be joining Krolic on the High Kings. John, another interesting round there. It's difficult to really get a gauge of things in these lower tiers, but is there any particular pick that you'd like to highlight in that one?
First of all, Crackpots has been unceremoniously, or perhaps probably unceremoniously reunited under Celtic Tigers with Yumi and CK. Will Hydro join them? Well, we don't know. I also think Creeps and Peeps is a big steal in second Rising Star. Obviously, he won last season of Rising Star alongside King Casual and Decomp. I've never really played with him a lot. He's just like for this level, like he's solid champ 2, champ 3, very good for this level. I don't know how he's gone so late personally.
Yeah, it's all about getting those bargain picks down these lower tiers. Cans, I just want to direct a quick question to you. You've picked up Bass as your second round. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that he's been on one of your teams before, am I right?
Yes, he was all the way back in season 2, and I have to. Yeah, they did. He did really well. Like he was part of the team who got to the final. Unfortunately, lost, but I think throughout the whole season he was one of the strongest picks. So I know I could not say no to grabbing him up again and giving him another opportunity for the Banshees. Like so, I'm happy with that.
Well, the Banshees certainly looking like a formidable roster going into the final round of picks. We're going to get into that now. The first one is Rory, or player one, picked up to finish off that Wolfhounds roster. Secondly, we have Taste of Rainbows back in the RLIS with the High Kings. He's joining Krolic and Pogs. D-Lynch's squad there also looking strong with returning manager Pogs, that second pick, and Taste Rainbows. In my opinion, a bit of a bargain for that third round. Next up, Bamanitan. He was the victor. He was the third player in the solo standard tournament recently in RLI, and they came out victorious there. Again, a little bit of a steal for the third round. It's all about finding those bargains. Next up is Sean Page joining the Banshees. Frederick T. Penguin, also known as Belle Delphine, picked up by Enrong for the Gales. And finishing off the tier, the person who just squeaked into Rising Star, into the RLIS, is Bobo Baldy for the Celtic Tigers. Rounding off Squidgy's roster alongside CK and Yummy Uranium. John, it's unfortunate that some people had to miss out on being drafted at all, but do you think all the players in here sort of deserve to make it into the lowest tier?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what the lowest ranked player here is still like Diamond Tree or something. So it's very competitive. Um, I just want to put out Barbaditan. I think like people forgot. Like you mentioned, Rez, he won the solo standard tournament. He's already shown to be adaptable and fit onto like new rosters. So give him a full season. I think he can do some damage.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be getting a straw poll up in the Twitch chat in a moment because we want to hear what you think. We've got 88 viewers looking at the stream at the moment, and we want to know who you think is going to win Rising Star. Enrong, I just want to bring you in on this. You've picked up a roster with a relatively unknown first round pick, Leon. This is his first season in RLIS. How do you think he is going to shape up against the competition?
Well, according to what I've heard from a friend of mine, apparently he's going to absolutely slap in that year. So I think maybe I've gotten lucky with the person I picked. But apparently he's going to win all the ones games, no problem. So hopefully he'll do very well for me. I obviously want to pick up Frederick as well. He's been around the server for like a year and a half, 2 years, and although he doesn't play much Rocket League, I just like the guy. So I don't think he was necessarily the best option I could have picked, but I wanted to get him in because I think he. I like the guy, and he's from Kerry, which is the best place in the world other than Limerick. And Cloudy has played in RLIS before, and I'm pretty sure he did fairly well. So it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, absolutely. The link to the straw poll is in the chat. Get your votes in because we want to know what you think. It's difficult to predict things down here, and there's always a couple of standout players looking at the moment. It's actually the Banshees who have the most votes. And how do you feel about that? Getting the season off to a good start.
Absolutely. Look, we have it in the bag already. Like, look, see, the public knows. The public knows. Now, I have to say, like, people probably were thinking that I picked Sean Page because of his outrageous twos MMR, but I did see the nose where he got boosted. But yeah, no, I'm very happy with my team. I think they're all. I think I have every game mode covered, but I to confirm what Enron said. Like Leon probably is nearly the best player in this tier. So he'd be a scary lad to watch, you know.
Yeah, interestingly enough, actually no votes so far on the short poll for the Gales or the High Kings. Enrong, that's not looking too good, even though you do have confidence in your team.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't really care what the public think. So, they haven't a clue. It's fine. Yeah. They can all vote for the Banshees all they want. But the Gales are going to win Rising Star.
Well, certainly optimistic, but maybe that optimism is justified. John, what are your thoughts on this tier as a whole? Any other closing thoughts before we move up the ladder towards
I think
Ascending Star?
I think Banshees have by far the highest floor. I don't know what best ranks are right now, but even then he can easily play up to like Champ 2 or even a Champ 3 level. Um, the Gales they have the Gales and even Wolfhounds two very strong two first round picks. I have my skepticisms over Fred Penguin, and to a lesser extent Player One. Although I know for a fact Rory is going to absolutely give his all. He's for his rank, he's a fantastic teammate. Like him and CK made a great run in the IL Academy team, carrying Day Forward to his best ever IL finish as a player. Which is a miracle in its own right, to be honest. Sorry for it. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. These lower tiers, like they're naturally inconsistent, so it'll always be competitive all the time. So, and also it's a great opportunity for these players to get competition in the ones and the twos that they normally wouldn't have. So it's a great learning experience as well.
Absolutely. I think that is all there is to say for the time being about Rising Star. The talking will be done on the pitch when the league starts next week. Moving on to the first round of Ascending Star now. The very first pick of Ascending Star is going to be Rian, also known as Bean. He's joining the Gales, picked up by Enrong. An interesting pick, that one. He's only come back to the game recently, but he certainly has good firepower when he's working at all cylinders. Next up, we have Gitsy King, actually down in Ascending Star. A bit of a surprise there. Finbar picked up by D Lynch for the High Kings. Lapsley in there for the Saints. Barzi picks up MK as his first round for the Wolfhounds. And Squidgy, as a player manager, is also in the first round of Ascending Star. John, I want to bring you in on this. Gitsy King, can't believe he's in Ascending Star. What on earth's happened there?
Yeah. So I know he hasn't been playing the game much recently, and allegedly he is like a Heartstock Champ 3 now, but like MMR only means so much. It's Gitsy King. He literally won Shooting Star in season 1. Like his peak compared to the rest of people in this tier is like absolutely ridiculous. If he's like anyway in form, he could honestly nearly farm this tier. Genuinely.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is the sort of tier where you can have quite a big disparity in skills. You can have players that are just popping off above the level of other players, and it really comes down to sometimes the first round picks to get the team on their back and really carry their way through. We're going to move on to the second round now. Starting off with Wrench, who was picked up by Squid for the Celtic Tigers. Deus picked up by Barzi for the Wolfhounds, joining MK. EPG is going to join Lapsley for the Saints. Poke with a Stick is picked by D Lynch to join Finbar on the High Kings. Captain Quark joins Gitsy King on the Banshees. That could be Team Tilt picked there by Lovely Hand. And Unknown picked up by Enrong for the Gales to round out the round. Another interesting one there. Cans, I wanna go to you
Yes.
immediately. Gitsy King and Captain Quark on the same team. How do you think that was gonna pan out?
Um, but look, I kind of I know he hasn't been playing the game for a while, Gizzy, but I kind of was surprised he got into this low. I think he's a very, very strong pick, regardless of how much he's played the game. Cork as well. I think he's very, very good for a second round pick. Yeah, I think he's probably one. If he can play to his ability, he's probably the best second round pick there. But it's again, it seems to be a common theme with me. I sometimes pick volatile parents, but they eventually get over the line, which I'm hoping. Look, I just give them the talk, and they settle. Hopefully they will settle down and just bring home the silverware. Like.
Enrong, I just want to ask you a quick question because I'm intrigued by your second round pick of Unknown. He recently made his name actually in the Slovene series over there. I believe he had a very good scrim alongside Lovely Cans and Panda. Is that really what made you jump at the opportunity to pick him up for your team?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like 50-50, because I didn't want to sign half the toxic players in this tier. And well, it's true. Like, I've been avoiding pretty much all the toxic people. And also I wanted to kind of just get in someone who I knew was fairly sound, and just, you know, I was told he was pretty good in that scrim, and whether he was or wasn't is kind of here nor there. I was looking at his tractor. I was looking at his tracker, and I was looking at his tracker, and he looked pretty good. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. I wanted another strong player in 2s and 1s, so I picked him up.
Very interesting stuff. We're going to move on to the third round now to finish off these rosters. Joining Green and Unknown, it's going to be Shawnee on the Gales. Secondly, Phil, or Dangerous Gamer, is going to be finishing off that tilt fest of the roster for the Banshees. Big Balls Brown is making his return to RLIS once again under the watchful gaze of Ryan in the Saints. Flood is joining Finbar and Poke with a Stick on the High Kings. Adequate Llama is joining MK and Deus on the Wolfhounds. And Kevster is rounding out the Celtic Tigers alongside Squidgy and Wrench. John, what are your initial thoughts on this third round?
Yeah, I want to go back to the second round for a second. I think it's very interesting that Squid has he's drafted like another former manager in Wrench. Is Wrench who was set out until season 5, if I'm not mistaken?
Season 5 Tanta, yes, I believe.
Yeah, so obviously Wrench doesn't have any experience in picking 2s and 1s, but like he just has they had the manager on 9, so they could definitely plan like their 1s and 2s picks, like who's playing who, very well, I imagine. Also, you've probably observed with the Saints, Ryan, he's even said to me himself, he gave me a quote that it's a bit of a meme that he goes back to picking old players that he's always relied on, but he's very confident in Lapsley and Bigger Balls Brown to start. He thinks Laps in particular is very low in the draft, and he's a bit of a steal. So he's hoping they'll do some damage. And EPG as well, he's very solid. He'll be good vibes, good mentality. So yeah, I think the Saints are another one to watch out for in this tier.
Yeah, for sure. Barzi, I just want to ask you your thoughts on your roster. MK, perhaps a little bit, sort of thought of a little bit of a lesser player than some of the others in the tier. Do you really think he'll be able to make the step up like we saw him do in Slovene recently?
Yeah, definitely. Like as Rob was saying, there was a lot of iffy picks in this one, so that's why I wanted the solid pick at the end for Lama, because myself and N Cannon played with him in one of the lands anyway, and Lama just went out and started bullying everybody, bumping and all this. So my pick was Lama, because if he gets in anybody head, like if you look at Banshees, if he gets in anybody head in the Banshees, like we're just gonna win. So I think we have a solid pick here.
What are your thoughts on Deus as your second pick as well? I know that he can be prone to tilt, but I think he is really an up-and-coming player in the scene. Do you think he's going to grow as the season goes on, perhaps in the same way that Solo did a couple of seasons ago?
Yeah, definitely. Like he's very mechanical. You can see it in his 2s rank by miles, like his best rank. So I'd say if he just keeps a cool head and keeps his mechanics going, he'll definitely be able to farm some people in this tier.
Be sure to get your votes in the Straw Poll in chat. It's going to be another interesting tier, this one. John, do you see any teams that really jump out to you as stepping up as a level above some of the competition?
Well, on the pitch, it should be the Banshees, no question. But I think we've all gone into great detail about why there's cause for concern. So I'll go with the Celtic Tigers. I think like Wrench and Kevster, like they can play a lot higher than what their MMRs are. I think they're two very cute pickups. And Squid's like absolutely fine this year. Obviously he won Rising Star season 4, grand finals season 5. I think that team has very high floor, and that's what you need. Again, at lower tiers, you need consistency, and I question the consistency of a lot of the other rosters in this tier. But I genuinely think that like this is by far the most competitive tier. Um, you like whoever is the highest chance of winning is only like 25%. Like you can split 6 ways, and I'm not going to argue. It'll be very interesting to see how it pans out.
Absolutely. We're going to move things on to Shooting Star now, the middle tier of the Rocket League Island Superstars. Starting off in the first round, we have got Gilzo picked up as a first player, just missing out on All-Star, but picked up by D Lynch for the High Kings. Next up, Evoke, picked by Lovely Cans for the Banshees. Joining the Celtic Tigers is going to be Jamingo, who's picked by Squid G, followed by Stone Cold Steve Octane, the longest name in RLIS by some way this season, picked up by Barzi for the Wolfhounds. Ryan picks up Jar Ryan for the Saints, and Sark is recruited by Enrong for the Gales. John, what are your thoughts on that round of picks?
So I think, well, okay. First of all, Gilzo, he was the MVP of Slovene series, victorious, absolutely backpacking Thompson and Reese to their first ever win in basically anything ever. It's just a joke, guys. Don't worry. Yeah, I asked D Lynch about picking Gilzo first in Shooting Star, and I think it's cool because I'm not all prepared. He said, I'm going to quote D Lynch here. Honestly, I think at the time Gilzo was one of the highest players available because strictly MMR isn't everything, and I know Gilzo is an amazing player. I recently won Slovene getting MVP, so I'm backing Gilzo MVP to be an amazing pick. I'm curious what all the other managers think as Gilzo first pick in Shooting Star. Like, there's a lot of just other higher MMR players on the table. So, what do y'all think?
I think Jamingo has got very high ranks, but I don't know how good he is. I think Gilzo's a fairly solid first round pick. First pick of the round itself, I'm not so sure. Depends. But Gilzo's proven it in tournaments. He's showing up. He doesn't really have nerves, so you know if he gets to the finals, he's going to do well. Problem is, Gilzo's actually never gotten to the final, I don't think, in RLS, because he always bought the semis, so we'll see how it goes.
Moving on to the second round of picks now, starting off with Graha joining the Wolfhounds under the watchful eyes of Barzi. Then Jeremiah James picked up, maybe slightly later than some people would have thought, for Ryan. Chef has recently returned to RLI and he is going to be joining Sark on the Gales. Pathological is joining the Celtic Tigers alongside Jamingo. Zexel is picked up alongside Evoke for the Banshees. We'll come back to that one in a moment. And the vibes to himself, Aiden, is joining the High Kings with Gilzo. Cans. What are we gonna do with you?
It looks bad, but honestly, I wasn't left with much choice. I wasn't. No, everyone knows the conflict between these two recently. Now I say screw it. They can grow up. I just give them the talking to. But Zexel is a proven winner in RLIS, and that's why I picked him mostly. And also, I think he's decent in all three modes because he has played under me as well. So, as with the winning mentality, I think it should be good. It's just working them two together. But I think my third will try to help me calm them both down if anything happens. But I know it is a risk. But you need to buy a ticket to win the lottery.
I will say, if anyone can get that Shooting Star team into shape, it is two-time manager of the season, Lovely Cans. But that's going to be a big test. I want to draw. So I want to put the cost on Enrong. Very interesting first two picks. I think it's fair to say. I mean, Sark, he's been improving a lot recently, but at a high level, not really that proven. And Chef, Lord knows the people even though he was still alive. I think they're two very risky picks. How do you feel about them, Rob?
Yeah, you see, there was just so many toxic people in this tier and ascending star that I just honestly wanted to avoid all of them. Sark is sound. He's also from Limerick, so he's gonna be a baller. Chef has been an OG in RLI since 2018, maybe even 2017. I can't remember exactly when he joined the server. So I was always going to pick Chef up. I think it was just a matter of when, and I didn't want to risk him getting picked up during the second round or third round. So I just look, I don't know if Chef is necessarily as good as half these guys in this tier. I don't think he is personally, but I like Chef, and he's sound, and he's fairly reliable when it comes to actually playing. And you know what? They could go 1-5 here, but they'll have fun. But I don't think they will. I think they're going to upset one or two teams. I don't think they're as weak as Barzi's team, which we'll see the third round. So we'll come to Barzi after the third round, Rez, yeah?
You mean,
Sorry,
Rob?
Barzi.
Excuse you.
The most questionable team in RLIS history.
We are going to move on to that third round now. We're going to start things off with Artemis joining Aiden and Gilzo on Team Vibe, the High King. We've got
Kyoto team.
Fassbender joining Evoke and Zexor on the Banshees, the antithesis of that High Kings team. We've got SPF joining Jamingo and Pathological on the Celtic Tigers. Panic Jungle picked up by Barzi for the Wolfhounds. Redport joining the Saints on Ryan's squad. He's with Jeremiah James and Joe Ryan. And Anthony is the third round pick, surprisingly, in this tier for the Gales. Barzi, I want to hear the logic behind your pick of Panic Jungle, perhaps a little bit underqualified for this rank.
Nah, I think it's gonna be fine. I was thinking just vibes, because obviously anybody who plays with Gra is just gonna vibe out. So I was like, I'll pick him another vibey person to play with. And then also, I'd like to just point out, this draft happened when I was asleep, so we could have maybe rushed our picks a little bit there because I really wanted to go to sleep. But sure, look, it is what it is, and I've no doubt in my mind that we're gonna win a few games at least.
At least your team's going to show.
Just don't sleep. Just don't sleep. Like pretty obvious.
I respect the fact that the season is still only 3 days out in Bears. He's already got the copium on hand. Love to see it.
John, I just want to hear your thoughts on this Saints roster, actually, because it kind of jumps out to me as being one of the stronger ones in the tier. Redport still, improving at the game, and he has got to quite a level where I'd say he's one of the better third-round picks here. Jeremiah James, similar in his tier, and even Joe Ryan, I think, is fairly strong for a first round. I reckon that team could do some damage.
Yeah, honestly, like you could move each of these players up 1 round, like Joe Ryan last All-Star, Jeremiah James first round shooting star, Redport second round shooting star, and you wouldn't bat an eye. I think that's how strong this roster is. I think this is one of Ryan's standout rosters. Genuinely, it'll do some damage. I also.
Dodgy.
Oh yeah.
Enrong, I just want to hear your thoughts on that third round pick of Anthony. And maybe his stock sort of fell a little bit with some poor performances in Shavine, but I think he could really stand out at this level. Was that your logic as well?
Well, he was absolutely dirt in Slovene, but in terms of how do we say it? What the hell, man? That's what Redport would say. But no, Anthony will be fine at this level. Like I knew Anthony would probably get missed in the third round. I knew he wouldn't be picked just by looking at the draft. It was either going to be him or Fast, and Fast got picked up before. So I was like, look, it's a no-brainer for me who I'm going to go with here. So I think Anthony will steady the ship if Sark and Chef don't perform to the level I hope that they can get to. So we'll be fine. And look, Anthony's very nice. Chef is very nice, and Sark is very nice. So again, avoiding the toxicity that certain managers from Waterford have decided to go for.
Look, I don't care. Like my team is going to win the whole thing. If arguing with each other and all, they're going to win it. I don't care what you say. Like, no. And you need a bit of healthy toxicity. I know this might be healthy, but give over, leave it over.
You need a bit of healthy toxicity. Lovely cans. Admin of Orland, by the way.
Yeah. I won't care. Like I don't mind if they're abusing the head off each other every single game. If they win, they win. I don't care how they win.
Who picked Podge again? Because he's already tilted. I haven't even started playing.
Is he actually? I picked him.
I had
a little argument with him last week.
One team that's gone underrated here is Celtic Tigers. Like Jamingo.
No, I don't know.
Jamingo's quite good. Pat is also quite
extremely toxic. Extremely toxic. Let's just call it out. It's a good team, and Jamingo and SPF are going to love playing with each other. John, but let's be real about
SPF,
this.
and
the
SPF.
Pathological did slap Rez in twos.
Yeah.
So did I.
Fair play, to be honest. I just want to have a quick hark back to actually the straw poll in chat. As of the 17 votes so far, 5 in favour of the Celtic Tigers. That is the highest, but it is a fairly even split. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do you think this is a particularly tight tier, John?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, apart from one team, Wolfhounds, I think it's a very competitive tier. Like all these. Like, I'll be interested to see how. I think Anthony. I think Anthony will have to be playing at his best to elevate a shooting star team. I have my doubts over it, but like Celtic Tigers are pretty strong. Banshees obviously very strong once they keep the heads. High Kings, they're proven, and Saints Saints is going to be vibing. Like same as well about like Wolfhound. Saints is also going to be peak vibes, and they're going to have a good time regardless of what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be quite a tight tier. Lots of, teams that on their day could really pop off, and on when it's not their day could completely crumble. So that could be a feature for this tier, is something to really watch out for. We're going to move on to All-Star now, the second to top tier. This is where things really starts to get spicy. First off, we're going to look at the two player managers. D Lynch is in the first round alongside Lovely Cans. The two managers really going to be fighting for supremacy in their own tier. The first real pick of the tier was Rory, picked up for the Gales. The one's star may not be quite so good at 2s and 3s, but he's certainly going to make his mark in the 1v1 game mode. Can't see him losing to really anyone in this tier. Next up, Lucra was picked up by Barzi for the Wolfhounds. TU was picked up by Squidgy for the Celtic Tigers, and Chronic is going to join the Saints. He was picked by Ryan. Barzi, I want to hear from you. Lucra maybe wasn't expected, maybe was expected to be second, perhaps third round in this tier. What made you pick him as first round?
I couldn't go without him, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I think he's just he's an insane player. If he puts the hours into the game, like, he's gonna be insane. He's really good 2s player. He's a solid 3s player. A little bit dodgy on 1s, but sure. Look, I don't. With the picks that I have in All Star, we're not gonna win any 1s games. So I wasn't drafting for that. Actually, wait, never mind. Sorry, I can take out D Lynch in 1, so I meant to say that.
Oh,
Oh, competition between the managers. I see Squid G in the chat saying that TU is an absolute steal here in All-Star. John, would you agree with that one?
Yeah, TU was a guy I was like considering for superstar. Genuinely, like, he's played and performed at lands. He's played in probably the other most competitive superstar season ever. He's won the one time he played an All Star. Yeah, like, I think again he might feel a bit hard done by that he's not an All Star. But yeah, out of all the first round picks, he's by far the one that, like, I have no questions over. The other three, they're making me think. But obviously Rory, fantastic ones. I think that's an obvious pick, and Chronic, as we'll see later, I think will make more sense as we get down the draft. But it does mean that round 2 and round 3 are going to make some insane rosters, as we'll get into shortly. So let's get into it.
Yeah, starting off that second round, D Lynch picking up My Parable as his first teammate. Then N Cannon picked by Lovely Cans for the Banshees. Decomp picked up by Ryan for the Saints in the second round of All-Star. King Keelan is joining TU on the Celtic Tigers. Royzer is joining Lucra on the Wolfhounds, and Hudson is joining Rory on the Gales. John, what are your thoughts on this round?
How is N Cannon, and particularly My Parable, second round All Star? What the? Oh my god! I cannot believe it. I talked to D Lynch about this, and like he was similarly bemused. I'll quote D Lynch here. I think getting Parable in second round All Star is an absolute steal. A player that, when playable, could honestly easily be third round superstar. Amazing to have alongside himself as a D Lynch, and Parable is going to be great vibes. And I completely agree. That is a fantastic core. Along with the Banshees. I mean, I'm not just saying that so Kansas and Diop me. Like, Kanzen Cannon, that's also very strong first two picks in comparison to the other four.
Yeah, absolutely. Ed, I come to you about your first two picks, Rory and Hudson. Rory obviously 1430 in ones, absolutely insane in that regard. And then Hudson as well, hitting 1900 a couple of seasons ago. Do you really think that you've assembled kind of an all-star duo in this?
Yeah, I think I've got a good team. I will say Ryan generally drafts extremely well and always gets the best out of a bad team, but I think his team's going to struggle. I don't really rate Barry's team that much either. We'll see. Lucra's quite good. Royzer, questionable for a second rounder, to be honest. Sorry, Royzer. Celtic Tigers, they might struggle. You see, Kansas' team is good in 3s, but Kansas and Encannon cannot play 2s or 1s, really. So I think D Lynch is going to win this tier already. It's already done, to be honest. But we'll see. Because I think Parable is better than most of those first round players, to be honest. He's like cusp of all or a superstar. As much as I don't rate Parable's 3s necessarily, I think he's very good in 2s and 1s. So yeah, it's interesting. It's gonna be hard. This is kind of one of those tiers I have no idea how this is gonna go, but I suspect the High Kings will do very well.
Well, moving on from the second round, we're going to start the third, starting off with Enrong's third man. Naylor is going to be joining Rory and Hudson to try and get that Ross through in threes. Then Jenga Benga is joining the Celtic Tigers alongside King Keelan and T, reigniting the duo that played in WRS. Next up, Marvels is joining Lovely Cans and N-Cannon on the Banshees. Then Epics joining my Parapet and D-Lynch. He's back after a hiatus from RLI. And then the two player managers, Barzi for the Wolfhounds and Ryan for the Saints. John, this is going to be a really interesting tier with so many player managers.
Yes, absolutely. Was talking to Ryan about because I know. I mean, word traveled around the airwaves. The Saints All-Star was by far one of the weakest teams in RLS history, apparently. Was talking to Ryan about it. Ryan has obviously played with Chronic on the IL team, and he believes Chronic is one who's he's just constantly improving, and he's also hoping for not decompressing but decompeaking this season. I will say their twos ability is going to be very good. It could be among the best in the tier, but they'll probably have to win all those twos games if they want to make playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair. I think Epix is a player who in the past has been very good in twos and ones, but has really been exposed in his threes. I was speaking to D-Lynch earlier, and he seems confident that he's improved in threes, which is going to be pivotal if that roster is going to succeed. I just want to draw your eyes over to the Celtic Tigers, which is a roster I think may, again in this tier, sneak under the radar a little bit because I think Tio is arguably the best first round pick, and then the chemistry between King Keelan and Jenga. I think that could be a scary roster, don't you?
Yeah, I feel like Keelan's a bit underrated. He's won shooting star before, and like the tournament results, like with the upstairs got like most people say they've overperformed like compared to some of the individual pieces, but like I mean they get those results so many times, like they're just that good. Jenga, some people might think he's a bit of his depth, but like his one's ability for a third round in All Star is quite strong, and he has great attitude towards the game. I think Celtic Tigers is a great dark horse for this tier, but it's obviously we're looking at the Banshees and the Vikings to be the dominant forces here.
Yeah, for certain cans. How do you feel with your roster that's well, I can't speak, that you've assembled?
No, I'm very happy to. I think we're absolute dogging ones. Maybe Marvel's. We might just chuck him there for all the ones. I let my strategy go there, but I think trees. I think trees would be strong. I think we'd be fine. I think, as John said, like the Lynch's team is looking like more balanced. I think than us. I would say are the top two, but yeah, it's a very competitive tier. I would say the Wolfhounds is by far the weakest, then the Saints.
Sorry,
then...
Cans, excuse you, but
Yeah,
out of this tier, there's only been 4 players in this tier got top 6 in WRS, and me and Royce are on the same team, and so excuse you, our trees is going to be insane, Cans.
What?
So,
nah, last time I played with you, you missed the ball.
I do think Barzi makes a good point, to be fair, Cans. I mean, if you look back all the way to IEC last year, the duo of Barzi and Royce was absolutely tearing things up. Lucra is a good player, but hasn't had the results recently, most notably in RLIS or in WRS, with Nabukli having what can only be described as an absolute stinker, getting double first round at both times. He's going to be looking to regain. Do you think they're going to be able to do that? And you're really able to challenge for the top spot in this tier, Barzi?
yeah, definitely. Like, sure, my team is just all about having fun and stuff like that, because like there's some players there you're thinking, geez, will I have fun with these? Will they come too hard? Like playing with Royce or playing with Luca, we're just gonna vibe, have fun. If we win a game, we win a game. If we lose the game, we're not gonna throw our controllers onto the walls and start screaming at each other. So that's what I went for anyway.
Fair
enough. John, have you got any additional thoughts on this tier before we move on to the promised land of Superstar?
Yeah. I mean, I think everything's been said. The bottom two teams look pretty clear. The Gales and Celtic Tigers still look to upset, but it looks like it'll be between Banshees and Vikings for the title. But yeah, It's time for Superstar!
Absolutely, this is the highest tier of RLIS. This is where the big dogs battle it out. We're going to get into this. The very first pick of the entire draft was given to Ryan, and he picked up Shallow. Coming off a reasonably good result in Slovene, but not as good as he would have hoped. He is going to be joining the Saints. Second, it was Trace to be picked up by the Celtic Tigers. Squidgy valuing that ones and twos ability, maybe a little bit more than threes, because in my opinion, Trace is going to be able to take down anyone in this tier in the ones game mode. Next up was actually Shane, picked up by Barzi, a slightly interesting pick. We can look back on that one in a second, but perhaps some people not expecting Shane to be picked up so early on. Next was Spectre, picked up by Enrong for the Gales. He's going to be looking to make his mark after some relatively poor seasons in RLIS, most notably losing to me. Next up is Panda, picked up by Lovely Cans for Banshees. And rounding up the first round of Superstar is Knuther, the Norwegian superstar from WRS. And that is rounding out the first round. John, look at the level of this round. Absolutely phenomenal stuff.
This is Superstar, and you'll love to see it. But I wanna start an open discussion. Okay, now it's pretty unanimous that in All Ireland, Shadow's been the best player this year so far. One WRS, one 12 Titans. He's done it all. But his performances in draft leagues and past RLISs, they haven't been great. In Slovene, I think he was expected to win. He came third. So based on that, does Shallow warrant first overall pick in the draft?
Now you do have to take into the fact that he was playing under Rob's managerial eye.
I blame Ross. I blame Ross.
No, I don't think you can say he can be first pick. I think he's too good at that. And he's unbelievable ones, he's unbelievable twos. Threes, all you have to do is fit two kind of more attacking players, because he will mind the net for you all day long. And I think Ryan will have a solid team.
I think Ryan's drafted well, personally.
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Barzi, I just want to ask about your decision of Shane. You decided to pick up Shane before Spect, before Panda, and before Knuther. Do you think that's something more to do with perhaps chemistry and mentality more than outright skill?
Yeah, I think it's more of like chemistry, mentality. I don't know if I've ever played with Shane, but I've talked to him a few times, and I know who he likes, what he likes playing. Like, I don't think I've ever talked to Spectre in my life, never played with him. So I don't know, do I want to have someone that I've never played with talk to under management? So I went with Shane for the safe pick, but something else that I want to notice is straight away when Shane got called out, first thing he put in was no, so my confidence has dropped quite low now. That,
No, he just doesn't like being picked high. Like,
oh, okay, yeah.
he was.
There you go. I love you too, Shane.
Moving on to the second round of picks. Starting off, it was Tomster to be picked, 7th of all by D Lynch. He is joining Knuther on the High Kings. Next up is Goldie joining the Banshees, another non-Irish player. He performed well in RLI or in WRS. Sorry, he's pulled off some good results there alongside Jaffa and perhaps sometimes Crusher, sometimes others. Next, LTX Sam is joining Spectre on the Gales. He was picked up by Enrong. Then Linsk, the duo from Carbon Zero and WRS, is going up alongside Shane in the Wolfhounds. And then Mayday, RLIS Season 3 champion of Superstar. He's joining Trace on the Celtic Tigers. And then the last pick of the second round was Solo. Ryan picking him up alongside Shallow. John, what are your initial thoughts on this round?
Oh, like, it's Carbon Zero. Like, what else is there to say? Like, legitimately, like, a top 3, top 4 team in the country. It's reminiscent of some past signature duos that we shall not mention here for obvious reasons. But like it's fantastic. Like these guys like know each other like the back of each other's hands. It's crazy. Also, I think Trace and Mayday. I think it's very strong. Like maybe there's been quite a couple of things about Mayday, but like this man, he turns up in tournaments and he's always like a big time player. If he can like step it up, like they're a title contender as well.
Absolutely. Barzi, I'm going to ask you a question that I think has a fairly obvious answer, but what's the reason you picked up Linsk alongside Shane, predominantly for chemistry reasons?
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. First of all, when like I seen the players, I was like, I definitely want Shane and Linsk just for it. And then I was very surprised that like Linsk got through. Well, I'm not really surprised, but my pick, I was second last in this one, so I was kind of iffy if I was gonna get Linsk, but I'm delighted I did now. So and then also as well, I played with him in season 5, I think, along with Trix, and he's just one of them players that like enjoys it, has a good time. So it's insane.
It is worth mentioning, Linsk is the only returning and defending Superstar champion from last season. And he's also a grand finalist in season 2. So like he's a proven winner in RLS.
Fair enough. Enrong, I just want to query about your decision to go with LTX Sam. I know you're a big fan of Sam as a player. How do you think he's really going to work with Spectre in that roster?
Spectre's the best twos player by quite some distance, in my opinion, in RLI. Only Rob Kieran is at the same level. So it wasn't really it wasn't a hard decision in terms of who was I going to pick in the second round. It was kind of between Mayday and Sam. Mayday has a bit of an ego. And Sam has an ego too, but I don't know. I like Sam. Sam's good in ones. If he can cop on and stop fooling around and dribbling the ball backwards in front of his own net, I think we got a decent chance, to be honest with you. I don't really rate half the other players in this tier for the second round picks. They're all kind of like midway between second and third round. I think Mayday, Sam, and I guess maybe Goldie. Linsk as well, but I think Linsk was kind of like the weakest link on the WRS team. I don't think he's particularly good at twos or ones. So I think I've drafted fairly well for ones and threes. Twos, Spectre's just going to be able to carry whoever he has on the team past most people. So because he's absolutely insane at twos. But yeah, unfortunately they've got me on their team, and that's why we're probably going to be the weakest team. But we'll see.
Do you not fear the risk that Spectre, perhaps sometimes known for not really taking RLI events seriously? Do you fear that could be a repeat in this?
You see, at least Spectre is fairly chill, to be honest with you. He's like the only high level player that doesn't really like tilt off the face of the world. Shallow has a prior history of it. Keen certainly has. I mean, he drops God knows what in different game channels and everything. He's had to go through a name change. Panda's grand, but I just didn't fancy Panda in this first round. Canutha, I don't really know too well. I was looking at Shane as well. It was between Shane and Spectre for me. So I think Spectre will be fine. He's sound. He may have called me 1600 before, but he wasn't wrong when he said that. So yeah, I think we'll be fine. Spectre's really sound. He's good vibes, and I think we won't finish last. I don't think we're the weak team.
Moving on to the third round, it was Ryan who got the first pick of the final round, and he decided to pick up undisputed greatest player in RLIS history, RLIS Season 3 champion of Superstar. It was me. I am going to be joining Shallow and Solo on the Saints. Then second pick of this round went to Squidgy, and he picked up Jo for the Celtic Tigers, a player who's really improved and stepped up recently, especially in threes. Next, it was Reese to be joining Shane and Linsk on the Wolfhounds. Then Jaffa will be joining Panda and Goldie for the Banshees, that core from Press X to Jump, remaining now in RLIS, this time with Panda. And then it was Ghost who was picked up by D Lynch as the last pick in Superstar. And of course, Enrung as the player manager for the Gales, and that rounds out the Superstar tier.
Managers, how have Thompson Reese once Levine? How have you let Thompson be 7th pick and Reese be somehow 8 picks after him? What the hell?
Because I was picked after, because I had pick after Reese, so I couldn't pick him.
Yes, you're absolved the Falcons, but like that is an Reese at third round is unbelievable. Like,
yeah,
he's fantastic.
I think Trix is better in ones, twos, and threes than one or two of this. Well, one of the second round players. He's good. I don't think he's that good, to be honest. I don't think you can justify putting him ahead of Tomster, for example. I think Tom is a bit better in ones and twos than Trix is, but in threes maybe Trix is a bit better. It's kind of hard to say. Tomster can't shoot. Good luck to D Lynch. He's got his wish. He will be playing in Superstar this season because Ghost isn't going to show. It's It's just a fact. Like he's not going to show. He's going to miss half those games. So I hope Thompson and Knuth are looking forward to playing with D Lynch because he's not going to play. Like he's not even watching the draft probably.
I have
All-Stars free for me then, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I have a quote from D Lynch about Ghost. Okay, Ghost is a great player and a solid player who can slot into a superstar team given he's already there and do some great things and be a player who should not be taken lightly in any respect. And I'll just add my own editorial after that if he shows up.
Yeah, if he shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if big
It's
if.
all... that's very it.
I think Wolfhounds have a very good team because of the chemistry between Shane Linsk and Trix will be good in ones and twos. He'll probably be better than Linsk, I'd say, in twos, to be honest with you. I suspect he would. I don't know for certain. Jao's a solid third rounder. Jaffa and Goldie at least will have a bit of chemistry. I'm not sure how the dynamic between Panda and Jaffa is going to go, to be honest with you. That'll be very interesting to see because if the two of them, if they start losing, that team is just going to go silent. I think Rez probably shouldn't have been third round, but his ones and twos was too bad, unfortunately, Rez. But your threes is very good. You're a second rounder based on threes.
So yeah, Rez, what do you think of your team? Let's turn the questions onto you. How do you feel about your chances?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with my team personally. I think Shallow is, rightfully so, the first pick of the whole draft, and I think, while myself may not be particularly good at ones or twos, I think Solo is definitely a step up above me and will be able to carry in those game modes. I think in threes, we are probably the scariest team there. I don't think any of the teams will really be able to compete with us in threes, and that's where most of the points.
Rez, have you got your glasses on? Have you?
Yeah,
I do have the glasses on. I can see
glasses.
perfectly clear, but my team's going to beat yours.
Get ready for the Panda reset.
No, okay. I'm just going to interject there. Okay, the Saints is at the core of my lovely spreadsheets. A team that couldn't even make the WRS major. Albeit they have Shallow, which is a decent improvement. Okay. Meanwhile, Wolfhounds is the core of Carbon Zero, a team that literally won an event. I think that's a big difference. Big difference. That being said, I'm worried. I mean, Rob hits it. I'm a bit worried for the Gales. Spectre is going to have to play at absolute best. So if that team wants to, make up grand finals, I feel. How do you feel about your chances, Rob?
I'm not gonna lie. I'll have to play a lot of Rocket League to play at this level. To be honest with you, I can play it. It's just I don't put in the hours. So it's gonna be hard, to be totally honest. But then again, the staff team decided to be really sadistic and put me in Superstar instead of All-Star. So yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest. We'll be okay though. Sam's good enough in ones. Spectre's pretty good in ones. He'll have probably Panda's number. I'm not sure about Canutha or Shane. Trace and Shallow will be a bit tougher for Spectre, but Spectre will be the best player in twos. I've no doubt about that. I've seen it time and time again. He's just much better. He doesn't even waste his time with RLI twos tourneys because he just win it. So yeah, we'll see. I don't think we're the weakest team, to be honest. I think the High Kings are going to be the weakest team. And I think it might be a battle between ourselves and the Saints, maybe over that fourth spot. It's kind of hard to say. It's too early. Like, I don't know. Banshees, hard to say as well. Depends how much Panda's playing. Trace is the weakest player in threes in the first round.
What?
Disagree.
He definitely is.
What?
I agree. Oh, well, I think he is. I don't think he's particularly good in threes.
Panda only came back to the game like 2 months ago. You can't say he's below him. Sorry, Panda. But he literally made WRS major finals. Yeah, I'm not saying he's good as Shane, Spectre, or Shallow, but I'd definitely put him above the rest in threes.
I think he's unreal in twos and ones, but not in threes.
We'll
see though. He's got Mayday on his team, so he's going to be very good. And yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, that is the draft. We're now going to have a look at each of the teams and how they stack up individually. The first org that we are going to look at is going to be the Banshees. Manager Lovely Cans doing what he can to assemble an all-star roster across the 5 tiers. And Cans, how do you think you've done overall?
Wait, my mic. I don't think I have. I'm a really weak team in any tier. There might be. I'm probably mid to top kind of level teams, if you get me. The superstar, I think it depends on confidence. I think Jaff is a confidence player. If he's playing really well, I think the three of them can do a bit of damage. the All Star. I think we have a great. I think it's ourselves and High Kings for the title. Shooting depends if the toxicity doesn't reach boiling point. Ascending, I think they can definitely chance for a title and rise. I think overall, Res, I think I had a strong draft. Really, like depend because of where I was placed in each round. So
Yeah, you should have had the strongest based on the numbers behind the scenes. So, you know, like you had the best average because you won the previous one, and it was long ago. Normally we'd do the opposite. We'd give you the weakest because you won the last one overall, but you know, because it's been so long, we give you the best one. So you should have the best team. I do think you have the strongest org overall. But the problem is, I think your org is going to combust at some stage.
Yeah, it's on a knife edge, like the whole thing. Like this could like be unbelievable, or it could like just be absolute shambolic. So we just have to wait and see. But look, it's worth the risk. Like you ain't
Moving
become the
on.
yeah. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Moving on to the next org, the Saints. Ryan, John, I'm not sure whether Ryan gave you any quotes for his overview. Oh, go on, hit me.
Overall, he's fairly happy with the group of players he's got. He's very happy that the sauce is finally made his way to the Saints. He's got got a lot of his good friends there. He thinks he has 2 or 3 teams that can go all the way. He didn't tell me which those teams were, but if I had to bet a pretty penny, it would probably be his Ascending and Shooting Star sides. I think they're his strongest.
Superstar.
Sure, but we'll let you think that. No, I mean, yeah, you guys obviously have great. I mean, anything with Shallow is going to be a contender. I think that's a given. And I think so. I think for as much as been said about Solo, I think he was impressive in Slovene. Obviously, Rez, you know you've carried Answer before. You're obviously fantastic and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But no,
keep going.
Yeah, I think he also I think the Bar Madison pick in Red Star is a very cute pick, and like watch out for the All Star team in twos. Genuinely, watch out for them. That could literal twos merchants right there could do some big things.
Well, moving on to our third organisation, it's Nagale's manager Enrong. What are your thoughts on things? How did they go overall?
Yeah, I'm fairly happy with it, to be honest. I had the weakest in terms of the number overall on average. So by that logic, I should be the weakest overall as an org. I think. Well, hold on now. There's an error there on your slide. Lapsy, EPG, and Big Balls Brown
I did not do that. I did not do that.
Unlucky. My team is actually Rian, Unknown, and Shawnee in Ascending Star, and I do not have Redport in Shooting Star, so someone's just completely forgotten to do this. But anyway, I'm happy enough. I'm not sure on paper where we're definitely going to pick up a win. I think Rising Star we got a decent chance, to be honest. I also think All Star will do a lot of damage. I suspect we will struggle in Shooting Star a little bit, potentially Superstar as well. Ascending Star is kind of up in the air. I don't know really what to expect because there's a lot of people that are in Ascending Star that probably should be in the Shooting Star because they're toxic fucks. They're in Ascending Star, so it's kind of hard to say really yet.
Moving on to the next tier, we're gonna be having a look at the Celtic Tigers. Squidgy picking up Trace, Mayday, and Jo for his top tier. John, what are your thoughts on Squid's draft as a whole?
Squid could be a contender for manager of the season. I think his Shooting Star team is the best there. I think his Ascending Star team is one of the title contenders. I think his Superstar team is probably a good finalist. His All Star team is definitely a playoffs team, and his Rising Star team is probably a low tier playoffs team. Like I think he's looking good for 2 titles, 3 grand finals. Genuinely, I think he can be very happy with the work he's done. Now there are some concerns about he's been detached from the RLIS community. Does he know what he's doing? I think he definitely knows what he's doing based on this draft.
Absolutely. We're going to move on to the Wolfhounds now. Barzy's boys. Barzy, I noticed in quite a lot of the tiers, especially, I mean, Superstar, All-Star, and Shooting Star, really, you've picked up lots of sort of duos that work well together personality-wise. That's something you really went for the draft.
Yeah, mainly just for people to have fun and play with what they enjoy. Like, there's no point of being stuck in a season-long thing and just hating who you're playing with and just not enjoying it. So that was kind of the main reason. For me, I think Superstar is our best chance. I think we have one of the strongest teams in Superstar by miles. I think my Rising Stars team will do decently, and then Ascending Star, depending on their mentality. A little bit worried about All Star, mainly because I'm on it, and it just depends on how much I actually play the game, because that's something that we all know, that I don't really play the game much. But I asked Rob to get me in third round All Star, so I could actually start grinding a little bit more. Might start help me, and then Shooting Stars, we'll see what happens with them now.
I think that's what's going to happen with them. They're going to finish last 0
What
on
do you mean?
5.
We have
0
Graha.
points for Graha.
We
Graha
have
will leave
Graha.
RLI. That'll be it. Panic is going to cause them to leave. Sorry, Panic.
Moving on
Jesus.
to the final organisation, we have the High Kings. D Lynch, his first time here as a manager, and I don't think he's done
It's going
too
to
bad
be
of a
his
job.
last time as well, I think.
D-Dog. Hey!
John, what are your thoughts on D Lynch's roster as a whole?
Yeah, he's definitely shown to be quite knowledgeable about players all up and down the RLI ladder. We didn't talk about his Ascending Star roster, but that's a decent sign in its own right. Finbar, he's been doing bits on the RLI prospect team. Their playoffs are this weekend, I believe. So go and share the boys. Poke, I think the best diamond player ever, even though he's not actually diamonds. And Flood, like to give him credit, he's been improving a ton. He's actually the sub for that prospect team as well. I think that's a good roster. Shooting Star. Shooting Star is a mixed bag. Like hopefully if they get on well, they'll be doing fine. Rising Star, Chronic's one of the best players in the tier. I feel the Superstar team is a bit similar to Alexandra from Slovene. Like we're going to underestimate them, and rightly so. But like Kanuta is unbelievable. Thompson was now a proven winner, and Ghost, like, look, if he's
He won't show, and neither will Taste Rainbows. So he's already drafted terribly, in my opinion.
But
They're not going to show.
but, like-
Taste Rainbows has pulled out of 3 seasons of RLIS. We've only had 5.
but honestly, like, if D Lynch is playing a Super team instead of Ghost, honestly, that's an upgrade. If I'm being honest, that's yeah. So like
Ouch.
that would make them like a bit of a contender. That's ouch. That's just facts. Look at the tournament results this year. They speak for themselves. But yeah, I think D Lynch can be happy with the work he's done, and he'll be doing bits on and off the pitch.
Oof.
Well, that is going to close out the draft for RLIS Season 6. Oh, all that remains is the regular season, followed by the playoffs, where we will get to play some games and crown the champion of each of the 5 tiers. I want to thank John for co-hosting with me today, and also thank you to the 3 managers on the desk and the others that sent in quotes for us to reference. This is going to be a really exciting season. Has anyone got any final comments before we head off?
Yeah, unlucky D Lynch. You're going to be doing lots of looking for subs, I reckon, over the course of the season.
I might as well, actually.
Cans might as well, yeah. If your team doesn't dominate, which they should in most tiers, Cans is going to be looking for new members because they're probably going to get banned from RLI.
Look, I don't care. The last 2 seasons, people are crying about my picks, and look what happened. So you can all feck off.
Speaking of subs, we will be announcing details regarding substitutes. So, like, if you're not involved with RLS and like you want to be a sub, want to try and get involved, we'll be announcing details about that very soon. Players, keep an eye out for Discord invites from your managers to join your org's servers. If you missed the draft, we'll get this on the YouTube ASAP, hopefully. And you see all those socials on the screen. Follow those, get involved. But yeah, the excitement around this has been incredible. It's good to be back. It's good to be back, and let's see what happens.
Thank you, everyone, very much for watching. I'm really excited, as I'm sure you all are. Thank you, everyone, very much for watching.